Therapy is so much more fruitful and successful and intimate when you have a therapist that you can trust, that you feel good about, that you feel like listens to you and is focused on you. There's been research that among all the different variables in therapy, like what therapeutic model the therapist is using, or what condition someone has, what issue they're coming to therapy with. Across all of those things, one of the most important factors that predict the success of therapy is the therapeutic relationship, the strength of that relationship. And what can help make that relationship stronger is making sure that you find someone that you feel good about, that resonates with you.
Key factors that clients should consider when choosing a therapist. Well, firstly, it's important to note if they're a licensed mental health professional. So do they have the right training, education, accreditation as well? It's also really important to make sure that the therapist is able to address your concerns, maybe even have specialized training in what it is that you're trying to work through. That can be really pivotal in your journey to seeking therapy.
When you have an initial consultation, I would encourage you to trust your gut. I think that if you're going to therapy with a specific idea of what you want there, it's good to ask the questions to your therapist about the experiences they have and the sorts of ideas they may have for the process of your work together. Oftentimes people will have things that they're more or less comfortable with or experienced in, and so making sure that if you have a clear idea of what you want, to articulate it early in the process, especially when looking for a therapist, in order to make sure that you're finding someone who can speak to those specific ideas or needs. I feel like I didn't get as much as I wanted to out of my first experience with therapy. From what I realized later was a lack of fit. I think that I felt that something was off but didn't fully trust it enough to make a change, and so I would encourage people that when something feels off, to consider if it is something that could be improved upon.
So when discussing more of the logistical things, I know it can be hard, but being honest and direct about it is likely going to get you what you need and want. So for example, if you have a set budget that you can spend on therapy, then don't be afraid to be very honest with a potential therapist about that and say, this is my budget, this is how much I can afford. If you have a very tight schedule, I would encourage you to be upfront with that and say something such as, I'm available Mondays and Fridays, Monday and Friday afternoons to do therapy. Does that work for you? So yeah, just be open and upfront about it. There's nothing wrong with having limits and boundaries around, when you're willing to meet, how much you're willing to pay, etc.
It can be helpful to research on the therapist's website if they have one. Usually they'll have their fee outlined on there. Also, if cost is a concern to you, you can also inquire with the therapist if they have a sliding scale.
Now, in my experience and also in the published research, finding a therapist that you feel like is a good fit is possibly the most important part of the therapy process.
I've seen this in my own experience. I think the relationship is so important, and it really influences how effective the therapy will be for you. If you can really feel safe and comfortable with your therapist, there's a very good chance you're going to have a higher likelihood of success in how effective it is for you.
Redbird Therapy.